In this graph, I'm going to look at graphing the trig functions. Okay, so the first one I'm going to look at is the sine, and the sine is defined as the y value at the terminal points along the unit circle. Okay, so I've put some values in here for us. Oops, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so at various inputs, let's see, at an input of 0, the y value there is 0. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and plot that point along my x-axis will be my input, that will be my t, and then the output will be what the y value is along the unit circle, so the t, the sine at that particular t value. All right, so there's my first point, 0, 0. And now I'm going to look at this point right here, 0. Let's see, pi over 2 is my input. Let's see, let's kind of break this down. Okay, so pi over 2 would be right here, and the output there is 1. So I'll make that 1. And then I'm going to look at this point. The input is pi, and the output is 0. And then I'll look at this one. Halfway between pi and 2 pi is 3 pi over 2, and the output there is negative 1. And then here at 2 pi, the sine, or the y value at the unit circle, that output is 0. Okay, so if we filled in all of those other points in between, it would make this nice smooth curve. So this one is y equals sine of t. And we can do the same thing with cosine. Cosine is the the x values. Okay, so we can just look at these outputs for cosine. And I'll do, let's see, I have an input of a t of 0, and the cosine there is 1. So I'll do this one next. At pi over 2, my output is 0. At pi, my output is negative 1. At pi over 3, my output is 0. And at 2 pi, my output is 1. Okay, so the cosine starts up at 1 and it just coasts down. Okay, so this one is cosine of t. Okay, so the cosine, that one starts high and then it coasts down. That's how I think of it. Coasts down, like you're riding your bike. And then for sine, we start down here, and I always think the sine, if you're hiking or something, the sign tells you go up the mountain, look at the view. All right, now these are called periodic. They repeat themselves over and over, and so that's why they repeat themselves. And this period, what the amount of time it takes for it to make its complete trip around the unit circle, that is called the period or the cycle. All right, and then if you put a t of, say, pi over 2, and then you went all the way around and added another full rotation, so you added 2 pi, you get right back to the exact same point. So the output, the y value, the sine, would be the exact same. It would still be 1. Okay, and the same thing with cosine. If you're adding 2 pi, that means you're just rotating around the unit circle an entire time, so you just end up right back where you were. So the period for both sine and cosine is 2 pi. All right, let's look what happens when we do some transformations on our graph. So if I have this minus 2, what that does is it's just going to slide my graph down 2 units. Okay, so my original sine graph goes to 2 pi, and then we'll just split that up. Half of that is pi over 2, halfway between pi and 2 pi is 3 pi over 2. So my original graph goes, the sign says go up, right? So we start go up the hill, see the view, and then come back down. Okay, so this is the original graph of sine. All right, and then that -2, what that does is just slides the whole thing down. All right, so my original point right here would be down, let's see, this is down -1. So this is -2, and then this would be -3. So the whole thing is just sliding down. Okay, so I've come down 1 and 2. And I like to draw that median line right in there, the midline. Okay, and so then this point here, it originally was at pi over 2 and 1, but that's just slid down, down 1 and 2. Okay, so you can kind of get our key points here and just draw the new graph. And there we have it. And again, that would continue. But okay, and now we need to label our key points. So this point is over 2 pi, and the y value there is -2. This point is at 3 pi over 2, and y value is -3. And this point here, we're at pi -2, and this one is pi over 2, -1. Okay, there we have it. Okay, let's try another one. Now we're going to do sine, or negative sine x. Okay, and what this does is it just reflects the graph of sine across the x-axis. Okay, so our original graph for sine, 2 pi, pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. So it usually goes from 1 to -1. Sine says go up, so up we go. Getting my key points to kind of, it's like dot to dot. Okay, so now what that negative does here is it rotates, it reflects the graph across the x-axis. So we're just going to have our points coming like this. And we'll start still at the origin. So then we come down. Our x-intercepts don't change. And there we go. Okay, key points. Pi over 2, -1. We can see that x-intercept, and then we have 3 pi over 2 and 1. Okay, and then one more. Here, if you have a coefficient in front of your trig function, what that does is that affects the height of the graph. Okay, so that is called the amplitude. So usually we're going between 1 and -1, but this will just stretch our graph. Okay, so cosine coasts. So usually cosine would go, we'll get our key points labeled here. Let's see, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Okay, cosine usually starts up and coasts downhill. Right, so there's my cosine. But now I've changed the height. It's like a big storm's coming in, right? And our waves are really big. Okay. So these points now, instead of at 2 pi 1, now we're up at 2. And here, instead of being at pi and -1, we're at pi -2. All right, now let's look what happens if there's a coefficient inside and being multiplied by the x. So it's actually affecting the input. Okay, what we could do is make another, we're in x's, so I'll make an x, y chart for myself. And usually with cosine, we're just doing our key points, right? We're going from 2 pi, pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2. And we could kind of just go in and play around with those original inputs. this is pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. But now what's happening is we're doubling our input. Okay, and then you could think about, well, what would be the cosine of that output? Okay, so you'd have to actually plug quite a few points in to figure this out, but let me just show you what happens. Okay, so the original period of cosine is 2 pi. So what you do is you just take and divide that original period by that coefficient, or whatever that number is being multiplied by x. Just divide the period by that number, and so we'd get a new period of pi. Okay, so what happens is the original graph of cosine goes from 1 to -1. Cosine, we start up and we coast downhill. And so here's our original graph of cosine. Okay, and what's happening is that our entire graph is just being compressed. So now to get from the peak to the peak is just taking a period of pi. Okay, so everything just gets compressed. So we go, now we have to split it. Let's see, you always want 4 segments in there to get those key points. So we go from the top to the bottom, or to the midpoint to the bottom, back to the middle, and up to the top again. Okay, so here is my new graph. And that would continue if we wanted to. Okay, so that is that compresses or expands the graph. So let's put all this information in together into a general form of what's called periodic or sinusoidal graphs. So that represents both cosine and y. All right, so we have this general form where we have y equals a times sine of k times x minus b. And we've talked about the first couple things here. So the a, that refers to the amplitude. Okay, no matter what the sign is of that a, the absolute value of that is the amplitude. Okay, and we measure the amplitude from the middle, the midline, to the peak. Okay, so there's our amplitude. All right, and now this k, that affects how long it takes to do one full cycle of the graph. So the period is defined as 2 pi divided by k. And then that just leaves one more important thing, which is where I'm going to talk about in the next video, which is this b, and that's sliding the graph left and right. So we'll get into that next time.